Uh, yes, recording is on from this particular side. So I'm just recording the session. So yeah, so that will be uploaded later, maybe today or tomorrow, maybe. So that will be for your reference, definitely. Thanks. Um, so we were talking about this particular VLOOKUP function. So VLOOKUP takes these 4 parameters, and if you straight away say that, okay, I'm just filtering for hash NA, then if you filter the hash NA, then hash NAs are actually the missing data. So you can simply say that the data which is coming as hash NA, for them, your salesperson data is not there in the master table. So this is how you search for your missing data. Now we have searched for missing data. How do we trap this particular data? So VLOOKUP, we understood that VLOOKUP takes these 4 parameters, and these are the 4 parameters: the name, what we are searching for, the value we are searching for, and the array from where we are searching for. Third is the position of that row or the column, and the fourth is definitely the row number or column number. So these are the basic things. So we understood the hash and things also, how missing data can be found. So now is the time to actually treat this missing data. So what we can do, this VLOOKUP will actually return hash NA if there's an error. So we have to trap this error. So how do we trap the error? For trapping the error, we use something called, so we have seen if. So there is a specific function in the if category or in the if function category called if error. So this is again a logical function. So it is capable of filtering errors and finding errors mainly. So if error actually takes 2 parameters. The first parameter being it says what you want to check under if error. So whatever you are giving within if error would be checked. And the second parameter talks about like what to do if it is an error. So if error, and the second parameter is what to do if it is an error. So these are the two things that if error mainly takes as a parameter. So let's understand this particular function. So how will you use that? So here what you need to do, this is our parameter check mainly. So I say that if error, and then we say comma. See here what is happening. If error takes 2 parameters, first one is the value. So I'm checking for the value of VLOOKUP. And I'm saying that if this VLOOKUP, because VLOOKUP will return 2 things. Either it will return the value if it is found, or it will return hash NA if it is not found. So if it is found, then no problem, it gives you the value. However, if it is not found, then it will give you hash NA. So we are now here to trap the hash NA part. So now I'm saying that if this particular VLOOKUP returns an error, then what to do? So usually what happens, you say that if it is an error, then don't do anything, just keep it as a blank cell. So to keep it as a blank cell, we use this double quotes, double quotes. If you simply say double quotes, and close the bracket and press enter. So in the first instance, you can see that since this was a valid data and it returned the data, so that's why it went to the first part of it, so which is the value. It did not go to the next part because it is not an error. Now what happens if I simply drag, see here I'm using this entire place, so I'm locating that entire area, and then what I do, I say control D, control R. The moment I say control D, control R, you will see that See, the formula is there everywhere. So here also formula is there. But I'm not able to see any output over here because this is either a blank or this is not returning a value. So instead of Fiona, if I say Rebecca, see, the moment I say Rebecca, automatically your data comes up. And if I say something which is not there, let's say George, I know that George is not there in that particular database. So similarly, what happens, this becomes a template. Now, whenever you put a data over here, a name over here, automatically it will populate its profit and loss, number of customers, and net sales. So now I just wanted to check like whether we have any formulas or functions. So how do we audit this particular place or formula? Immediately what we can do, we can go to our formulas and say show formulas. The moment we say show formulas, we can see that actually this is a place filled with our formulas. So if you just take any one of these particular cells, you can take any one of these particular cells and you can see that how your range or how your cell reference changes. See here how your cell reference changes. So this is one example of how you can actually do some auditing on formulas. Next option, if I just say show, disable the show formulas, I just wanted to check, let's say this particular cell, whether it has any link to any of the cells or not. So I can simply go to trace precedent. If I go to trace precedent, you can see that it automatically shows me that this particular data is coming from 3 different locations. So it is dependent on 3 different locations. One location is this, which is the name of the person. Another location is the column number. And the third location is actually coming from other place. So which is the sheet, actually the my data component of it. So it automatically shows that thing. Now, if I simply remove errors and let's say I just click on this Fiona and say trace dependent. So if I simply say trace dependent, it shows me that if you change this name Fiona, it will have a cascading effect in profit and loss, number of customers and net sales. So this is how we can actually do some simple formula auditing with your cells. So you say remove arrows. So this part, if you have any queries in understanding what is this VLOOKUP and what is this if error doing here, any issues, any particular query that you have, please put it in your chat window. I'm monitoring the chat right now. Okay, fine. So we have got a question. So you're saying that can you show a demo for approximate match or yes, appropriate match? Absolutely, we can do that. See here, for appropriate match, the first rule is that your data should be in sorted order. So Excel identifies your data and works with appropriate match only if it is in sorted order. If you don't do also, Excel will also do the sorting. So it is always better to do the sorting of data. So I say that how I sort, I just sort based on this. Now, let's do some example, one example. So let's say I'm searching for Pete. So my boss came and said that, okay, can you give me the data for Pete? So I said, are you sure that there's a person called Pete? He says that I know something like it is either Pete or either Petery or Peter, something like this. I'm not sure. So can you just give me the data? So here what will happen is if I use exact match and if Pete is not there, it will give you hash NA. So first of all, let me show you how. So this is an example of exact, and this is an example of appropriate. What happens in both the cases? So if you simply say equal to VLOOKUP, and the lookup value is this, and I am looking from my data, and I'm looking for how many numbers, how many customers he's handling. So column number 2, and here I'm giving it as false. False or 0 are same. I press enter and it gives #NA. Now in my appropriate match, what I do, equal to VLOOKUP, the lookup value remains same, table array, column index 2, and here I say it as appropriate match, which means true. See what happens when I simply press enter. The moment I press enter, it gives me a number 48. Now we are shocked. At one end, it is showing #NA. At the other end, it is actually giving me a output as 48. Now, where this appropriate match 48 is coming from? Now, if you go to salesperson, you can see how it is coming. This is a very logical way of finding it, but it is not done actually in corporate world. It is not done. So here what happens, it is actually searching for Pete. So it is searching for Pete from the top. It comes here, it comes here. There is no Pete, there is no P at all because it is sorted in order. So it is coming here. It comes here. It comes here and sees that there is something called Peter. So now from dictionary perspective, it understands that Pete has to be before Peter. So what it does, it just goes one step ahead, or what we can say one step back actually. So one row above it goes and then gives the answer. So it does not see that, okay, there is Michelle or Matthew or somebody else is there. So it just comes to this particular place, sees that this is Peter, and from its knowledge, it knows that Pete should come before Peter. So automatically what has happened? It has given us the value 48, thinking that the name above Peter is Pete. So this is what happens when you actually work with appropriate match. So it gives you, it will under worse circumstances, it will definitely give you an output. So I hope that query was answered. So any other thing that you would like me to focus on? Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's have a look at a similar kind of data which is in a horizontal format. So here, let's say if I'm searching for a person called Eric. So if you say that I want to search for data for Eric, then Eric, this particular data is in horizontal format. So VLOOKUP cannot be used. So what we can do, we can actually use here HLOOKUP. So if you simply use HLOOKUP, it is asking again for the same thing, that where is your data that you are searching for and where is your range of or the table from where you are searching for. So you simply say that, okay, I'm searching for the lookup value this, and it is there in this particular area. So like this, And then it is asking for row number. So if we want to search for, let's say, number of customers, or let's say if you just wanted to search what was the profit and loss that was incurred by Eric from this horizontal data. So simply what you can do, you can search like this is row number 1, row number 2, row number 3, and row number 4. So this is row number 4. So if you simply say 4 comma 0 and press enter, you see that your data comes up. So this is actually working as your horizontal lookup. So mainly horizontal lookup takes up the row number instead of column number. That is the only difference between VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. Rest all the facts, like you call it as your array, or you call it your data, or all those things will be having your same kind of details. So let's have a look at this. So now what happens is that you need to actually focus on this particular part, and we have seen value, array, position, and exact and appropriate match. These are all things we have seen here. Now there are situations wherein the data is not in forward manner. Forward manner in the sense that right now what we are doing, we are here and we are searching for data on the right hand side. So we are searching for net sales or profit and loss and number of customers. These all things we are searching for. Now, this particular data, when I put it in the right side, what is happening is we are able to search. But let's take an example that my boss comes in and says that, okay, I know somebody is handling 40 customers. Who is this person? So it just gives me a number, let's say 40, and wants me to search who is handling 40 customers. So now here it is not a forward lookup anymore. It is a reverse lookup that will go in this particular direction. So directly, if you talk about this particular data, so here I am just giving you the data and asking you to search for the name. So there the concept of reverse lookup will come. So for reverse lookup, there are actually two functions. One is known as index and another one is known as match. Both of them are absolutely opposite to one another, and both of them work together. So you can see that both of them are just opposite. So index says that if you can give me a position within an array, I can give you the output. And match says that just the opposite thing. It says that if you can give me a value, I can give you the position. So here in our case, we are stuck because I don't know what is the position of 40 in this particular array. And I also cannot just count and then give that particular array index number to index so that it can find out the details. So what we have to do, we have to use both of them simultaneously. So let's understand how the reverse lookup concept works. So let's say this is your data, and let's do a simple example first. So simple example, let's take an example. Just wanted to find out that what is the position of Harry, this particular name Harry, in this particular list. So you simply see here, if I say here index, so if I say that, okay, index will work like this. If I say that, okay, out of this particular array, who is standing in 5th position? So then index can give me. So I say that, okay, within this array, so always mark it that for index and match, do not take the header as we did it for the regular data. Do not take the header. And because if you take the header, then header will also be counted at the part of the array. So always take it from the data part. So you have taken the array. So I'm just saying that, okay, given this array, who is there in the 5th position in this array. The moment I press enter, it gives me John. Fine. So this is the work of index. If you give the number, the position, it automatically gives you the output. Match works in just a reverse way. Match says that, okay, give me the name, I will give you the index number. So if you simply say equal to match, and you want to search what is the position of John here. If you simply say, I'm looking for John in this particular area or this particular array, if you press enter, it returns 5. So this, you can see that both of them are just opposite to each other. One is returning a name based on a position. Another one is returning a position based on a name. So let's see how we can use these two techniques or two functions to actually find out our data. So we were talking about this particular number. So we wanted to check who is handling 40 customers. So now let's have a look here. So I'm just writing the function. So since we are looking for the name of the person, and name of the person or the ultimate value is returned by the index function, therefore index function should be appearing on the outer side. This means that this should be the ultimate function that is being used. Now you simply say equal to index. The moment you say equal to index, it is asking for array. So you give that, okay, fine, I need the data out of this particular array, which is absolutely fine. And then it is asking, what is the row number? Now I don't know the row number. Row number is the position. So I'm not sure of the row number. So what I will do, I will take help of match over here. The moment you open match, it is asking for the lookup value. So I said, okay, I know that somebody is handling 40 customers. So what I will do, I will take the value as this 40. And then you put comma, and then you say lookup array. So where is this 40 located? The 40 is not located in salesperson area. It is located in number of customers. So number of customers come like this. So this is the place where our data is there, what we are searching for. Okay. And match also takes the third parameter, which is similar to VLOOKUP. It says that whether you want less than value or greater than match or an exact match. So are you looking for a value which is less than 40 or more than 40 or exactly 40? I say I know number of customers are exactly 40. So I close the bracket. I close the bracket once more and I press enter. I see here the output as Rebecca. So what is happening in this particular function? Let's have a look. We know that whenever you use a function within Excel, the innermost function is executed first. So here what will happen, this match function will be executed first, and then the output of this particular match function will be passed on to index as a position. Index will take that position and search in this particular array and give you the name, which is the output. So this is how your index and match works. So this is how your reverse lookup works primarily. So next thing, what we will do, we will make it more complex over here. My boss comes in and says that, okay, who is handling the maximum number of customers? So last time he had given me the number 40. So this time what is happening is just saying that, tell me the person's name who is handling maximum number of customers. Now, no number has been given and still we need the output. So here what will happen? Everything will remain same. The array from where we are searching, the name will remain same. The row number, in case of row number, we were using index, that is also, sorry, we were using match, that will also remain same. The only thing that will change will the lookup value. Last time we got the lookup value, which is a constant number, and we could directly use it. Now this time we say that we are not looking for exact value, but we are looking for something, let's say, out of this array, what is the maximum. So what we will do, we will use the function called max. Now max of which numbers? So max of these numbers. So you close the bracket. So what will happen? The first parameter will be given by max. So max actually take up the maximum value out of this particular range and pass on to match. That is what is happening here. I go to next parameter, and that's your lookup array. So lookup array again remains the same thing. This is only the lookup array. This is from where our data is getting picked up from. And then we are searching for exact match. The moment we close the bracket, so it is asking for index to close the bracket, and we close it and press enter, we see that Michelle is the person who has actually got the highest number of customers. So what is happening here, if you just double click here, you can see how this particular function is working. The innermost function, which is max, will be executed first. So max will actually be executed first, and then this particular data will return the maximum value of within this particular number of customers column. Then that particular value will be used by match to find out what are what is the match for that particular number that we have got from max. And similarly, when we talk about this particular array from where you are searching, this becomes your array. So it will be also number of customers, and then we press 0 for exact match. So when max is returning a value, we know that it is definitely the maximum number of customers that we are searching for. So maximum number of customers will definitely be exact value from that particular list. So that's why we were confident, and then we use 0 over here. And then we pressed enter. So the moment we say, so maximum customers handled by Michelle. The same thing we can do with minimum also. If you just, instead of max, if you change it to min, you can see that Sally is handling the minimum customers like this. Now this is dynamic, and let's take an example. I change Sally's number of customers from 6 to 16 and press enter. You see that automatically it pops up as Harry's name. So automatically these things are working. So this is how your reverse lookup and forward lookup works. So lookup is actually to find out a particular data out of a particular range or position. So this is an example. So we have seen what is VLOOKUP, how HLOOKUP works, and how we can actually audit that particular formula. And also we have seen the concept of reverse lookups using index and match. So any queries if you have? So we have got a question saying, if we get multiple items, then what to do. So in just to tell you one thing, example, if you need max customer and max net sales, so maximum customers and maximum net sales, we are saying. In that case, we have to use if condition over there. Hmm. So both the places you are talking about maximum customers and maximum net sales. So in that case, we have to um, because now, but what will happen? Both of them will be returning two different positions. So let's say maximum. No, both the cases, like we cannot have one person with maximum sales and maximum customers. So here, as of now, I can see that. So usually that will be the case. So how exactly you would like to get that? So we can do it for maximum customers and then we can do it for maximum sales. So both the things can happen. So let's say if you talk about maximum customers, so Michelle is handling maximum customers. We can replicate the entire function over here for this is for customer and this is for sales. So if you simply say equal to index and row and you open match and then you say that I'm looking for value which is max of sales and the lookup array is also sales. Okay, so and then it is asking for exact match and close the bracket. So here this is how we can get the maximum for customers is Michelle and maximum for Mary is for maximum for sales is Mary. So there will be two different instances. So if you are saying that okay in a like if we talk about maximum, so something has to be fixed. So you're saying that okay who is handling both of them as maximum, then we have to definitely write a small maybe program and then check the if conditions and all in a iterated loop. So directly within a match or index, it is not possible. Okay, fine. So any other queries that you have related to lookup, or reverse lookup, or this match index, or we shall proceed. Okay, so let's proceed to our next topic, which is also very important topic. So let's move on here. So we have been talking about the lookup functions, VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP and match index, and how to trap the errors, and then talking about auditing the formula, tracing the formula. Uh, So now what we will do, we will move on to yet another powerful concept of slicing and dicing of data. So if we see the concepts of pivot table, so we will be discussing it in detail now. Pivot tables is a very important concept here. So we'll see how to convert our pivot tables instantly from a data set mainly. So let's move on to the concepts of pivot. So pivots, on the other hand, is actually a tool for gathering insights from your data. So we say that, see, VLOOKUP was for searching or getting a particular instance of data from a particular database. Now, pivot is actually used for doing an analysis basically from your data. So directly, if you want to just do some preliminary analysis from your data, then pivot table will be the best way to do that. So let's do one thing. Let's create some pivot table and understand how to simplify the complex data types or data, which is so pivot is rather the most important section or topic of Excel, because till today, pivot actually acts as the most important part of MS Excel. So the moment you talk about Excel, the first thing that comes in your mind is to slice and dice the data, and that is where pivot comes. So directly, if you just go to our data set, so now let's have a look at our data. So first of all, let's take some other data. Let's say this employee projects. So there is a data called employee projects that is there in your exercise. So let's do some slicing and dicing of this data. So before doing the slicing and dicing, let me explain what is this data all about. This is a simple record transaction, record data of projects of a particular organization. So if you just look at a particular row, you will see that it talks about an employee's details, date of birth, contact number, and all these things, hiring date, and department name and project, which project that particular person is right now engaged in, and how many working hours has the person invested in that particular project. So these are the figures that are coming up in this particular details. So at a glance, if I say that I need some information or I need some insights from this data, the first thing that we need to do is to actually highlight the data or select the data and make a pivot. Pivot is the first thing that you should do for slicing and dicing of data. So you highlight the data, and either you can go to insert and select pivot table, or what you can do, you can from your keyboard press Alt DP. Alt. So this is actually Alt plus D plus P. That also invokes your pivot. So the moment you press Alt DP, it invokes this particular wizard. So let's say we are not bothered about the wizard part, and we'll say finish. The moment you say finish, automatically you will see that there are two sections of this pivot. One is this right hand side, which is your details, which needs to be populated in this particular pivot. And this is the actual section where you will see the result. Now, this particular pivot table, this particular area is a very useful place. However, this works only when you drag and drop things in different sections. Now, what we want is we want to actually make it a useful thing. And first time when you are learning pivots, please follow these steps. Always right click and go to pivot table options. The moment you say right click and pivot table options, it comes up with an option called display. If you click on display, you will see that there's an option called classic pivot table layout. So whatever you are using right now is the advanced pivot layout. So for learning purpose, for understanding the data, for learning purpose, classic pivot is the best method. So what we can do, we can select this classic pivot and say OK. The moment we say OK, automatically you can see that your pivot table has been changed, and we can see that all the sections whatever you noticed in this right hand side panel are here. So dropping of rows, columns, filters, and this is your value part. Now let's do a simple demo of how we actually can talk to the data using a pivot. So just let's have a look. So if you click on this particular area, you will see that right hand side your data is coming, and this particular design, this particular option actually gives you a freedom of dragging and dropping. So let's see here. So let's take an example that I just wanted to see that in total, how many working hours has the organization given? If I simply drag and drop the working hours, you can see that in total, the organization has given 23,848 hours. So just a total number. Now at a glance, I just wanted to check, okay, can we divide this into different departments? Like department wise, what was the figure? So I simply drag and put the department over here, and I see that department wise, this is my data. So I can see that delivery, this many hours, HR, this many hours. So this way you can simply say that, okay, department wise, these are the hours that has been put. So just segregating the data. Now we want to ask another question. So, okay, fine. I understand that this software and the total that is coming as 6,000, it was not put by a single team or a single person. It was from different places and different people uh, like invested time for the software project. So I just wanted to check, like within department, what was the contribution of each, like a department, which all projects they have contributed to. So now what we are going to do, we will simply pull in the project title. See how simple it is. If you simply pull in project title, and be cautious whenever you are putting this. So you just drag and don't put it when you see a green color box. Instead, you leave the cursor or leave the mouse when you see a I symbol. The moment you see an I symbol, you can leave that. Leave your mouse. So you can see that automatically this has come as data for department and project. So department wise, project wise breakup you have got. So now this total, this total, this total, these all totals becomes the subtotal for our data. So automatically you can see that in housekeeping, this procurement, and for waste management, this particular time was actually given. So these are the options, these are the things that we have here. So similarly for L&D and software and other things also, you can check, everything is given over here. So this was what? This was department wise, project title wise breakup. Now here what is happening, you just put it at the beginning and you will see that it becomes project title wise, department wise data. So project title and department. So now what happens, it's just a opposite thing. Simply project title and department is coming over here. So just you can shuffle or just remove the position like this, which is very simple. Now there are multiple things that we can do here. So this is a sub total of data. So you can see that department wise, project wise data is coming, and you can see total like this. So now what we can do, we can remove this subtotal also. So we don't want to see this subtotal everywhere it is coming. So what I can do, you can just keep your cursor. Remember it, just keeping your cursor in total, any one of these total. If you press from your keyboard control and minus, if you press control minus, you will see that all your subtotals have vanished. Now we cannot get them back by saying control plus. If you want to get your subtotals back, then you have to right click and click on this subtotal project title over here, and you can see that it works like this, and you have total coming up here. So you can make them invisible also, or you can bring them up also. Now let me show you something very important. So you have the projects over here and you have the departments, which is giving you a segregated way of looking into the data. Now here what happens, if you simply take this department and put it here in this column place instead of row, see what happens. It gives you a breakup like this. So project title and then departments over here. So directly you can see project titles and departments. And this particular type of query, or this particular type of pivot, is known as a cross tab pivot. So cross tab pivot is the name. So what we can do, we can instantly have a look at the entire data, and we can segregately just say how our data is looking like, and how the segregation is looking like. So this is what it is. So this is one example of making a pivot. Now we can make several pivots for several things. So this is one example. Let's do one thing. We make another pivot here to understand some other features. Alt DP, and the moment you say finish, you come up with this particular option. Here also, again, if you just go to pivot table options, you can go to display. This is the best way to actually learn pivot. So what I feel. So that's why I keep on telling people, just do it the classic way. So always gives us a freedom of dragging and dropping. So that is very good, and you can actually see where you are dropping and where you are dragging from. So here it is a like you can say a remote way of looking into the pivot. Now let's do some calculation part. So let's say we know that for this particular project, these many working hours were given. Okay, and we also know that for all these projects, so let's say this was the project start date and project end date, and if you remove the total, so we get something like this. So directly it shows me that this project, this is the start date, this is the complete date, and this was the number of hours that was put. Now my intention is to put the number of days also. So the number of days is nothing but complete minus start date. So when it was started and when it got completed. So both the dates we just wanted to subtract. So that has to be done using a formula, actually a calculation. So for doing that calculation, what you need to do, we actually go to something called pivot table, analyze, and there's an option called item sets and fields. So fields, items and sets. There's an option called calculated field here. The moment we go to calculated field, it actually gives you an option to put the name of the field and the particular formula. So I'm just giving it like this, number of days, something like this. So what is number of days? Number of days is nothing but complete date. So I will do what? I can simply click and say insert field. That can also happen, or you can double click. That will also happen. So I say that project complete minus project start. So both the things I can do like this, project complete minus project start. The moment I say projects complete minus project start and say okay, you will see that two things have happened. First of all, number of days have come to this particular list, and you can see that what are the details that are available in these particular numbers. So what are the fields that are used over here? Now there is a problem over here. So if you simply click, you can see that obviously the dates are like the numbers. Actually, this is complete minus start, so this has to be a number. However, it is coming as a date field. So how do we remove that? How do we work with that? So we can just select the data and say right click and say format cells, and instead of a date we can simply take it as a general and say okay. So immediately we see that the days, the number of days has been calculated the way number of working hours has been calculated. So this is how you put some calculations around a particular pivot table. Okay, so this is one example. Okay, so is asking how to edit the formula which is existing. Okay, good question. So we are saying that okay, fine. If there is a formula, then how do we edit that? So you can go to analyze once again, and then go to this particular option and say calculated field. You can see that your calculated fields are already listed over there. So if you go to the same place from where we got the calculated field option, you can see that automatically your number of days, whatever you created, is there. So there is an option called modify. So what you can do, you can change the formula and say modify. So this will actually modify your formula in your exact place or in your pivot. So let's say I'm just doing some modification. So I say that okay, instead of number of days, can we just convert it to number of months? So why not to divide it by 30? So whatever the number is coming, can we divide it by 30? And the moment I say modify and I say okay, I can see that immediately my data has been modified. So you can see that right now instead of number of days, it has been now number of months. So what I can do, I can simply double click on this part, and instead of saying number of days, I can say months and say okay. So now see how it has been changed, and what we can do here, we can right click and say format, or you can say number format, and number, and reduce the decimal places and say okay. Did you get this? Did all of you get this particular concept here? What we did with the pivot table? So we first actually calculated the data, so which was simple subtraction, and whatever number was coming, we actually divided it by 30 to get the number of months. So instead of date, it was number of months now. So you can always create a new formula and you can also edit a formula using calculated fields. So um, does it, so there is a question that has been asked. So the question is, does it support only mathematical calculations? Primarily mathematical calculations, so you can do the like plus minus and all. However, you can we can use some functions as well. So if you just wanted to check another parameter, so let's say how many days have passed since the project completion. So what is the age of this project? Fine. What is the age of this project completion? So how will you do that? So I'm just giving you a heads up like how to do that. So here, okay, yes, it will revolve around mathematical functions, but not mandatory that it has to only use plus minus multiplication divide. It can use some functions as well. So let me show you. So if you simply say calculated field, and here you say that let's say age. Fine. So here what we say equal to today minus the completion date. So if you simply say add, okay, okay, so we can, okay, today we'll have problem here. So some of the functions can be used. So this in this particular case, this there might be an issue with the date type or something, which is why it is not able to use the formula over here. But this can be an exact formula, usually a mathematical formula using plus minus multiplication divide. Suppose you want to calculate the salary based on number of hours, so you can say that okay, number of working hours into a particular number. So let's say per hour, these all people get, let's say 100 rupees. So if you simply want to calculate the salary, you can say number of working hours multiplied by 100. So something like this, or let's say 150, something like this. So what happens the moment you say add and the moment you say okay, you can see their salary coming up. So based on the number of hours of project. So these are some simple, so all revolves around the mathematical functions, which is absolutely true. But you can use some of the functions as well. So depending on what type of data it is and how the data looks like. So we may have the opportunity to utilize what we call our functions. So this was one demo of mathematical, like using calculated fields. There is another thing that we can do with this particular data. So if you simply say again Alt DF, and if I convert it into a classic pivot, say OK, and simply we say that we need some data based on hiring date. See how we do it. So I just wanted to, so my boss wanted to me to invest some time on a particular data. So he has given me a database of all the employee details and everything. Just wanted to check how many people were hired on a particular time period or something like this. So I simply take hiring date and I wanted to check how many people were hired on this particular date. So what we can do, we can simply go to employee ID, which is a unique field. So if I just bring in this employee ID, or even if I just bring in my transaction ID or any other thing, if I just bring in like this, I can instantly see that there are 3 records which says hiring date is 31 Jan and something like this, and 25th March and all. So it's a big list actually. So it's a big list to understand, and you can see that There are years from 2010 and 11 and 12 and 13. So all 4 years data we have got in this particular demo. So now there is a problem, a simple problem that we are facing here is, now when I give it to my manager, manager is definitely not happy to see all these data. He's not bothered about who had joined on 23rd of December 2011. How many have joined? So the main, so any questions if you have, please put it in your chat window. I know, yes, email employee ID is not unique in this particular. Yes, you are absolutely right. Emp ID is not unique. So what we can do, we don't use this particular detail. So what we can do here, we can come to the record ID, which is unique, and then create. This is just a demo of how we can utilize this. So here we can see. So just a moment. Let me follow the chat. Yes, employee ID is not unique. I agree to it. So that's what we have done. So I have just taken record ID, which is unique. So now what we will do, we will simply convert it into the classic pivot, which is very useful. And the moment I say that, okay, I need hiring date, and if I say record ID, so I can see the output here. It's a big list and it gives you an output like this. So based on record ID. So I would suggest you to take a unique field for this kind of like scenarios. So now as I was talking to you, like uh, my boss is not at all bothered about who actually joined or how many people joined on 16th of December, 23rd of December. What he is looking like is actually to check how many people in total joined in the month of December or March or April or something. So just to get a trend of it. So just to maintain a trend of it. So just wanted to check that. So definitely this is not giving me that output. So what I can do, I have to actually do something called grouping of data. So we have understood something called subtotal of data. So now let's understand what is grouping of data. So if you right click, there's an option called group. So the moment you say group, it talks about months, quarters, and years. So automatically it understands months and say okay. So automatically you can see that the months are coming like this. And here, now you can simply just right click and send the group. Automatically you can see that your data has been grouped based on. So always understand grouping can be done only based on numbers. You cannot just group text. Now you see that here Jan, Feb, March, though it looks like a text, but actually they are dates. And date, we already know that dates are nothing but numbers. So what has happened here is your date has been converted to numbers and the numbers have been grouped here. How to match with month as well as year? Very good question. So that was the next thing that I'm just going to show it to you. How do we match with month as well as year? Very good. So now what happens is that I'm showing the month over here. Now this data is not complete. So I'm not able to understand for which year this April or May or Jan or Feb data is there. So what we can do, we can extend our grouping also. So what we can do, we can right click here. So just give, I'll give you a heads up. So instantly, if you just click here and go to analyze and go to pivot chart. So let's see how it looks like. So if you simply click here, you can see the trend. So this is how a simple chart can be made from a pivot. Okay, so now it shows, you can visualize it very effectively that most of the people were hired in the month of March, let's say, for instance. Now, I am not sure of the year over here. So what I can do, I can just right click once again and click on group once again. The moment I click on group, I can see that months are already selected. What I can do, I can click on years. The moment I click on years, you can see that months is also selected. So I have clicked on year and months are already there. So it also understands that I can divide it into quarters as well. So quarter one, quarter two, like that, or for years as well. So based on our requirement, we can change or group it. So the moment I say OK, see how beautifully your data is depicted now. Look at this. So your months are now arranged in the form of like grouped with years as well. So we can have multiple groupings. So year and then the month and then the date. This is how it comes up. So directly, if you just click here, and you can see that year has come and the month has also come, and then you can see since our chart was based on this particular data, that year wise breakup is also here. This is such a nice thing that has been incorporated. So this is how it works. So we have seen some examples of how to make pivots very effectively. This is the cross tab pivot. This is a calculated field pivot, and this is your grouped pivot. So these are the three sections, three types of pivots that we have made here. Now one final type of pivot, some calculations which what we will be doing. This is also a very important thing. You make a pivot and say finish, and you again make it as a classic pivot for our benefit. And then we say that I want a department wise breakup. So department wise breakup of my working hours. So department wise breakup of working hours has come. Now I say that I'm not interested in looking into the numbers. I don't understand these numbers 456 and 1168. Can we bifurcate data in a single bar? This means you are saying that this one has come. So, okay. I have got a query from Raju asking that can we bifurcate data in a single bar? So are we talking about stacked bar? If that is the case, then we can definitely go ahead and go to change chart type, and then we can incorporate the like other options as well. So here if you say stacked, so it might not have the exact effect. So let me just check. So let's check here. Okay, so in this particular case, we might not be able to do that bifurcation. So if you click here, so there are different layouts through which we can do bifurcation. But in this particular data, we might not be able to do it. So you're talking about Jan, Feb, March to be brought in one particular cell for 2010. So that won't be possible in this kind of data, but we can definitely do it for other type of data. So if I come across certain portions like that, I will definitely talk about that as well. So this data is not suitable for bifurcation in a single bar. Okay. So I will take it up as a question and then I will definitely get back to you. So how to put it in a single bar? You're talking about a stacked bar, right? So is that what I understand? Like you're saying that for 2013 it has to show Jan, Feb, March, April, May as a single bar, and then I should get only 4 bars, each of them representing a year, and then coming on to different options for the total. So exactly fine. So I'll just take it because I'm not sure. This data directly cannot be converted. So I will just take it as a question. So let me just make a note of this question. Okay, I will definitely get back to you. So let's have a look at the final type of work that we can do with this pivot. So this particular pivot right now, what we are doing is we are saying that, okay, fine, we have delivery, housing and all other things and numbers are there. But now my manager says that I don't understand these numbers. 3336 or 3960 is not understandable. Can you put it in a very different way so that visually I can see and I can actually get an idea who is doing what and what is the like contribution of the department. So he uses a word called contribution. So the moment he uses contribution word, I get to understand that he's talking to he's willing to see the composition actually. So out of this particular entire hours, how much is the contribution for software? How much is the contribution for planning operations and so and so. So there is a technique that I can use. What I can do, I can just double click on this working hours. My intention is to convert these numbers into percentage. So what I will do, I will simply double click here and there I see that, okay, I have the working hours and all, some count, average. These are the all the other things that we can do. Some count, average. So if I wanted to check like what is the average number of hours that each department is giving, I can simply convert it into an average. So if I simply say average and okay, so I can see that on an average, housekeeping is giving 389 hours, HR is giving 303 hours for the projects. So average hours, you can say that, okay, what is the maximum contribution of a particular person for a particular project from this department? So you can see all the maximum numbers. Similarly, you can get the minimum and other numbers as well. But I'm only interested in the sum, which is I wanted to check like for a department, what was the total contribution of that particular department towards the projects. So now what we are going to do, we will be double clicking here and we will not work on this particular summarization. This is already what we know. There is something very interesting on the next tab. It says show value as, and it says on, sorry, no calculation. So right now there are no calculation over here. So it directly talks about the data. You can see here, it says no calculation written. You can change this no calculation directly. You go here and say, I want a grand total percentage. So 1 year, like a percentage of the grand total. The moment I say percentage of grand total and I say okay, you can see that automatically your data has been converted into percentages. So I just click and I simply say data, and the moment I say Z2A, automatically I get the data in sorted order. So this is how this particular composition works. So now what happens the moment I go to pivot analyze and say pivot chart, the best type of pivot to check this would be a pie chart. And the moment I take a 3D pie chart and say okay, so I can see the percentage contribution. So this is a nice way to make a chart and to represent your data. the most important part of this kind of charts and pivots from 2010, what they have done, they have included this particular buttons on chart as well. So you say that I don't need the pivot table. I can only see the pivot chart and I can work directly on the pivot chart. So if you just hide your pivot table also, that is absolutely fine. So now you see that earlier we used to go to the pivot table to control the chart. Now no more. So what you say, suppose I just want to keep housekeeping out of this particular calculation. So what I can do, I can click here and your drop down comes here. I say that I don't require housekeeping to be as a part of this particular calculation. I simply say OK, and you can see that the pivot changes and the pivot table changes and the pivot chart also changes. So these are the benefits that we have for pivot charts and pivot tables. So now what we will do, we will do a case study, a simple small dashboard we will try to make. So we now know how to make charts and other things. So we focus on now to a dashboard option. So let's see a demo. So charts are very easily, it can be prepared from these tables. So now let's take an example of the sales data that we have. So this is your sales data through which we have learned so many concepts like formatting and other things as well. If conditions, conditional formatting and all those things we understood. So let's consider the same table and see how we can quickly convert this into a dashboard. So to convert this into a dashboard, what we will do, we will simply highlight this data. So the first thing, whenever you get a data and you want to ask questions from the data, remember the first step is to make a pivot. The moment we make a pivot, we can actually get an idea about this particular data and you can ask questions and this data will give you answers. So based on that understanding, we create the pivot and say, okay, finish. And here comes my pivot in a sheet and I say classic pivot and I say, okay. Now there is something very special about this particular demo. We are in the way of creating a small dashboard. So what I say that, okay, we want some direct inputs from this particular pivot table. So first of all, I am looking for, let's say, item wise sales. So what I will do, I will just keep group here. And the moment I say total sales here, it shows me item wise sales, which is absolutely fine. It's a nice way to showcase your data. So directly you can see item wise total sales. Now I want another pivot, which is, let's say, sales lead, means the salesperson wise, how many items they have sold, the quantity that I would like to check. So for that, what you need to do, there are multiple ways. The best way is to just copy this and say paste. The moment you say copy and paste, you can see that the same kind of table has been prepared over here. And instead of group, what you do, you bring in the sales lead. And instead of total sales, you bring in the total quantity. So this table is actually group wise sales and this table is actually lead wise quantity. So both the tables I have got. Now what we can do, we can simply make some charts. But before making the chart, I want another table to be made. So I simply copy it and I simply paste it. So this is the third pivot I have and I want to actually check month-wise data. So I wanted to check month-wise quantity and total sales. Such a nice thing to show. Month-wise total quantity and total sales. These are the three pivot tables that we have made. Now the idea is to convert it into a dashboard. So to convert it into a dashboard, the first thing that we need to do is to make 3 charts. So first of all, I take the first one and go to analyze pivot chart. It is showing me column, but I am not happy with column. I will take a bar chart and say okay. So this gives me a bar chart. I bring in the second type of chart. I click again on the second pivot table. I go to pivot chart. I'm happy with the column one this time. So I say okay. So the second chart comes. Third chart is very interesting. You click on the third one. You go to analyze. You say pivot chart and you bring in the column. You say okay. Okay. So it also gives me a chart. So I will tell you why this is interesting. So now if you want to make a dashboard, this is not the way we make a dashboard. So first of all, we have to hide our pivot tables that we have made. What is the best way to hide it? We can just push them down. So you say you highlight the entire row and you simply say Control Shift plus 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 something like this. If you press Control Shift plus, you will see that your pivot tables have gone down. And then what you can do, you can actually select these pivots and bring them up and bring them up. You click here, you click here. So this is the place for the first, this is the place for the second pivot. And then we have the place for the third one. So the third pivot is not getting enough space. So what we can do, we can push it further down and then we can place it. So now let me do some formatting over here. So these are the 3 charts. So what I can do, I can just push it a little further like this and push it a little further and put it like this. So these are my 3 charts that I have made. So now quickly do some little modification. First of all, what we are going to do, because this is a single series chart, I don't require this total. I can just simply delete it. Similarly goes for this total as well. And same goes for, okay, here we have 2 details, total sales and quantity. So we might not be looking into deletion process. Second thing that I would like to do is to remove these buttons. These buttons are actually taking space in my chart and I don't want them because I don't want my user to control the pivots from these particular buttons. This is one of the techniques, but this is not what I am looking for. So what I will do, we will just right click and say hide all. Right click and say hide all. So simply you can see that these charts have are bigger in size now. So if you want, I can reduce the size as well so that it looks something like this. Something like this. Looks nice. And then what we do, we go to design and then change the design. So maybe something like this or like this. And this one, we make it like this. So just a different look altogether we wanted to give. And here what we are doing, we are increasing this particular dashboard like this. And here also we will be removing all the buttons. It looks like this. Now here is a small problem. The problem is that I have sum of quantity and sum of sales. But sum of sales is such a high number that sum of quantity is hidden over there. So in front of sales, quantity has like diminished, something like this. First thing what we will do, we will make some space and then we will remove this particular place from here and right click on that legend and say format legend and bring it to the bottom. The moment we bring it to the bottom part, we see that automatically this particular thing has come up here. Now we are bothered about the sum of quantity, which is in blue color, but it is not visible. How do we make it visible? We know that from our last session on Pareto analysis and all, we saw how to bring in that second chart. So why it is not visible? Because both of them are in same axis. We want to convert them into a different axis. So what I will do, I will simply click, and then if I from my keyboard, I press down arrow once and down arrow again, we can see that automatically it has shown me the second option or the second series. Carefully right click on that particular series. Be careful, it was not selected properly. So carefully you click on that dot and say format data series and convert it into secondary series. The moment you convert it into secondary series, you will see that both of the series have overlapped actually. What we don't want. So what we can do, either the quantity or the sales, we can convert it into a secondary series. So secondary series we have done, and we have to change the chart type. So we say that for the quantity, you change it to a line and say OK. So now this gives us some meaning. So we can see that our sales and quantity chart is here. And if I just put it like this gives me a very nice feeling of a small dashboard. Now to remove these all things, this grid lines and all, we can go to view and uncheck grid lines. So we can see it's a white paper kind of thing, dashboard kind of thing, which has come. So this gives me a look and feel of a dashboard, but this dashboard is not complete now. Why it is not complete? Because if we want to modify something, so let's say I just wanted to focus on uh, Bangalore data. I don't want to focus on the entire set of data. I'm just looking for the similar kind of thing. So okay, before going that, let's change the headings as well. This is item wise quantity, and this is sales lead wise, or we can say here lead wise sales. So item wise quantity and lead wise sales, both the options are visible over here. So now the third one also we can add a option. So we can simply say plus, and I need the access chart title basically. So chart title has come. So this is sales versus quantity. So month on month sales versus quantity. So three charts are coming. Now what we want a single source of control for these three charts. So here we introduce the most important and most interesting part of Excel dashboarding. We just pay attention to this particular part, which is very important. And whatever training programs I have done till now for past 2-3 years, because slicers is new concept. So in 2-3 years, wherever I have shown this particular demo, and at the end of the program, I have asked that what was the most important and interesting thing that you liked about the training. All of them had only one answer, and that was this particular dashboarding. So just pay attention, and I'm sure you will also like the same. So what we are now going to do is to control and make some controlling power for these particular charts. So what we will do, we will click on the first chart. You can click on any one of the chart, that is not mandatory. So you have to click on the first chart as well. So click on the first or any chart, go to pivot chart options, analyze, and you will see something called insert slicer. So slicer is actually used for filtering data visually. So the filters are there on your screen and you can directly use them. So the moment I say insert slicer, it comes up with this particular option. Directly what you can do, the usual practice says that please make a slicer of groups which are not using numbers. So let's say month, quarter, sales lead, group. These are all like text related thing, or we can say group related thing mainly. However, quantity and total sales is full of numbers. So don't put it there. We can group them and then put it there also. That is also an option. But we just giving a demo of how these groups work. And the moment I say OK here, you can see that all the 5 slicers have come. Now, what we are looking for. So first of all, we have to arrange them. So let's arrange them. So we need some space. So what I'm doing here, so it has come like this. Now I'm not happy with the positioning. So what is happening here? See Bangalore, Mysore, Bangalore. They have taken only half of the place, but still it is using the full place space. So what you can do, we can click there and do some modification in the design pattern of the slicers. We simply click there and put it like this and put it like this. And what we can do, we can actually choose some designs also. If you choose in some designs, so this is how it comes directly. And then you can put the quarter as well. So quarter also you can make 2 columns, put it like this and change it with some things. Then we have the sales lead, that also we can just put it down, make it as 2 and put it like this. Similarly, you can bring in the group as well and make them appear like this. If you want, you can just reduce it or you can just keep it that like that also. So this is absolutely up to you. Now what we can do, we can just give them some colors, some patterns and something like this. So it looks like some buttons on screen. Now the final touch that we will give is for the month. So let's do one thing. We keep the month here. See how we are doing it. We just drag it like this. See, we want to transpose this month. So now when you drag, actually, this is such a huge, like long elongated bar that is coming up. So what we can do, we can go to slicer options. We are in the process of converting it into a timeline sort of thing, tab kind of thing. So what we can do, we can simply change the columns from 1 to 12. If we put 12 means 12 columns will be there each of one row, because there are 12 rows we can see here. So 12 months are there. See, the moment you change the columns, see how it affects. See like this, 11 and 12. So now it becomes a full-fledged control like this. So if you just put it something like this and change the format or put something like this. So this becomes your full-fledged dashboard. So a dashboard that can be used dynamically. So let's learn to use this particular dashboard. So we have prepared a wonderful dashboard. And if you simply from your keyboard press Control and F1, so that menu bar also goes off, and we can push it like this, and we can increase it a bit like this, so that we can see the entire chart properly. So this is your entire dashboard. So now what we will see, what something very amazing. Now let's say we were talking about, let's say I want to see details section wise or location wise. See what happens the moment I click on Bangalore. You can see that this item wise quantity chart has changed. Similarly, if you click on Mysore, Mangalore or Bangarpet, you can see that how these things are changing. So the chart is actually responding to these slicers now. At any point of time, if you want to see consolidated of 2 cities, so I can press, let's say Bangalore, and press control from my keyboard and press Bangalore over here. So now this is becomes a consolidated figure between Bangalore and Mangalore like this. And if I want to see all the four, so I can just remove this and say Alt C, or you can click on this option also to clear all the figures, all the options. Everything works like this. If you see quarter 2, so you can see quarter 2, you can see quarter 3. So simple, you can just click here and see how it works. Similarly, for your sales lead also, if you just want to focus on Jatin, so how was Jatin doing? How is Soumya and other people are doing? If you want to compare their data, let's say Jatin and Kishore, I want to compare. So you can see how easily we can slice and dice data directly into Excel. So now everything is looking fine, but there is a small challenge over here. The challenge is that only this particular chart is moving. So it is responding. So what we want is that all my charts should be responding to this particular option or these particular buttons. So see how we will be doing it and how simple it is to work. So now what is happening right now, only this one chart is interacting with this particular slicer. Now we have to do a small modification. The modification would be just click on this slicer. Why it is only working with one chart is because if you remember, we started off making this particular slicer by clicking on the first chart. If we would have clicked on the third chart, only the third chart would be uh, like working with all these slicers. So that doesn't matter actually, any chart you can start with. Now our idea is to make all these charts talking to each other and to these buttons. So what we can do, we can simply click on the first, we can click on the first slicer. If you go to slicer options, there is an option called report connections. Report connections or pivot connections you will see. The moment you open that, you will see that all your pivots are there. And if you simply say OK, it connects. Similarly, this particular thing has to be done for all of these slicers. This is a one-time activity that has to be done for all the slicers. You click options, pivot table, say OK, pivot table, options, report connections, and then say OK, and finally report table, pivot table, say OK. So now all these slicers are connected to all these three charts. Let's have a look. So the moment I click on Bangalore, see what happens. Look at all these three charts. You can see Bangalore, Mysore, Mangalore, Bangarpet data directly on screen. So just by clicking on the figures, you can see here. At any point of time, let's say I just wanted to check what was my sales in Bangalore for quarter 3. I can just click on this. So now this shows me Bangalore sale in quarter 3, quarter 2, quarter 4, quarter 1. If I just wanted to check how is like Ritesh doing, so you can see that Ritesh has made a sales like this, and the sales number is this. Okay, fine. Okay, so good. We have some questions. I will just show you once again. Not an issue. Okay, fine. So I will show it to you how we have actually got the slicers. So for getting the slicers, we actually need to click on any one of the chart. So this is the first step that we have to do. And then from pivot chart tools, either if you are using 2010 version, it might say pivot chart tools options or pivot chart tools analyze. So anything, just search for the option called insert slicer. So the only thing that you have to keep in mind is that one of the chart should be highlighted. Then only this slicer will come. If you don't highlight the chart, then it will not work. So what we have to do, you have to just go there and say insert slicer. So insert slicer, if you do, so there are two steps that we have to do. First of all, we have to bring in the slicers using one chart, and then when the slicers have actually come, then merge them for all the charts. So putting the slicers or bringing the slicers is based on one chart, and then when the charts are there, all the slicers are there, whatever slicers you wanted, you have put all the slicers. Once it is done, then the next step is to highlight the slicer and going to slicer options, and then clicking on either you will find pivot table connections or report connections. So either of these buttons will be there in your slicer options. If you, I'm repeating again and again, it will only come, so slicers will only come when you click on the chart, and slicer connectivity can only be done only if you click on the slicer. So these two things we have to keep in mind while working with the dashboards and the slicers. So we click and go to slicer options and go to report connections or pivot table connections. The moment you click there, you will see all your pivots are there. So this was the reason why I said that make one pivot and then copy paste that pivot in the same place or in the same option, because creating pivots in multiple sheets actually creates problems at times when you are working with slices or when you wish to work with slices. So it is always preferable to create a pivot table within a particular sheet and then copy paste it, make as many times as you want, and then actually click on this particular pivot option over there. So two steps we have to remember. First of all, bringing the pivot, bringing the slicer. For bringing the slicer in, click on any one of the charts and then go to pivot tools options or analyze option, and then bringing the slicer. And the second thing that you have to keep in mind is that if you, when you are connecting all of them, so make sure that you have actually clicked on a slicer and then went to slicer options and go to report connections or pivot table connections. You will see all the pivot table details over there. Just tick, 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 and you say OK. Automatically, you will see that the pivot tables are connected. So these are the two steps that we need to perform, and this converts it into a nice looking dashboard. So this dashboard actually can be used for answering questions also. So as I told you, let's see, I just wanted to check how is my laptop doing. So just wanted to click on laptop, and you can see that laptop is being sold by Ritesh and Soumya, and the total sales in this entire year was this amount, where like 3 lakh, 4 lakh, whatever. So you can just click and then add the data label as well. However, we can see that laptops were not sold throughout the year. So laptops were not sold in the month of March, April, June, July, and November. And these people are not dealing with laptops, Jatin, Navin, Kishore, and Rohini. So this is the story that we can make actually. So if I just wanted to see laptop sale in Q2, so automatically I can see Q2, Q1. So if you talk about Q1, we can say that okay, there was a downward trend for the sales of laptop for these 2 months. So immediately we can identify the details also, the outliers also. So we can see that though Ritesh has given us a good lead, but Soumya had actually failed to do at par. So we can say that due to Soumya's sales, a dip in Soumya's sales, we actually lost this particular month, and we had a like downward trend for the first quarter in the month of Jan and in the month of Feb mainly. So instantly, just by clicking and without bothering about the pivot tables also, we can directly talk to our data and give our like suggestions and input to the management. So this is a very important concept, and slicers are very useful, and also it can be used for creating dashboards dynamically. So this is an example, as a live example of how slicers can be used. Okay, so now you can the only thing that you have to keep in mind is you can have as many pivot tables as you want. You can put as many charts as you want, and it is not mandatory that you have to only put charts. You can even put the tables also, pivot tables also. So pivot tables also respond to this particular option. So you can, if you simply say that I want to see May month, so automatically see that these pivot tables are replying to this May month. So May, September, see, look at these pivot tables. They are also responding. So since they are responding, the charts are responding. So ultimately you are talking to the pivot table, and the pivot tables are actually making the charts for you. So this is how it is working. So you can see that in the month of February, there was no sales recorded for television and tablet. So you can see that only these three options are here. So earlier what was happening is that we could see this data. Okay, fine. I can see that three items were sold, but which items were not sold was not captured. Here I can see that, okay, three people have made the sales, but I was not able to understand who did not make the sale. Now what is happening, since the options are grayed out over here, I can definitely comment on these options. I can say that, okay, these three items were sold, and tablets and televisions were not sold. And Jatin and Soumya and Rohini did not make any sale in the month of February. So how quickly and smartly I can actually work and then give the output to my management. So in any point of time, if you just want to remove the slices, you click here and you can remove the slices. So this is how you work with dashboards and slicers and pivot tables. So this particular session was dedicated to the most important topics of Excel. One was lookups, another was pivot, and I hope I was able to give you good examples and you understood the topics. So next couple of minutes we will just utilize to understand. If you have any queries regarding the same, please note that this particular session is getting recorded as well. So maybe in a day's time or so, we will be uploading it into a place and a location, and then like share the link with you as well. Yes, please go ahead with your questions. So when we have multiple entries for the same employee, can we get unique values using pivot? Okay, so we are saying that if you have this particular data and let's make a pivot out here, multiple entries of a same employee. So let's say okay, so we are saying that, okay, fine, we are talking about sales lead. So if I say Bangalore location and the sales lead wise data, so and So here we can just remove this and we can get only one instance. So multiple instances of data. So how will you, can you give me an example more effectively? Just, I understood, but I'm not getting to focus on this particular pivot. If an employee has entered skills in 10 different rows, likewise, I have data for entire company in the data, how I can pull the unique value. So that will be the count. Okay, I'll just give you an example. I have got it. So I save it. Let's go to the employee projects. I will give you. This is just a just taking the count. So let's take an example. Look at this particular data. So I can, you can see that this employee ID 1001 has worked for 3 different projects. Now I just wanted to see employee wise how many projects they have worked with. Let's say just a simple query. So I'll just put the pivot. So I hope this will answer your question. So I say that I need employee wise. So employee ID. So employee ID, suppose there are 10 different projects that they might have worked with. So if I simply say here employee and project title, so I can see that employee 2, 3, 4 projects they have worked with. Now I want to see just a unique figure. So I can just put it here and it gives me the unique details. So now this particular number is the count of projects that this particular employee has made. So the only way to do is to using the count option. So you can just see which is the unique field you are searching for, and then in the data part just take a count. So count will be actually a distinct count. So if you double click, you can see that count option is there, which will give you the answer. So this is one way of doing, just a simple way. And if you have this kind of data, so if you are looking for a particular employee also, that also we can find from here. So that is a manual process, but ultimately we do it using the filter only. So filter, put the data in that particular column on the left hand side on the row, and then put your number that you want. I'm looking for count of employees. Okay, so count of employees basis what? So how many employees actually are working? That's what are you looking for? Okay, okay, got it. So yes, I got what you're saying. So here I can see, you can see here, this particular count you're talking about. So if you take this count, this would be the number of employees. So anything that you want to make as a simple option to count, the best way is to make it as a pivot and put it on this particular way. So if you want to see how many departments are there, how many employees are there, so forget about this project title. So whatever you put here becomes unique. So instead of employee ID, let's say, instead of employee ID, if you simply put here department, okay, I have put, and employee ID in value, okay, I have put, okay. So Yes. So now it is exactly. So actually there are, but I have only 31 records. Okay, exactly. Hmm. So from a pivot, taking the count, distinct count will not be possible here. So one thing we can do, we can if you take the max or the min, if you okay, so no, we won't be able to find out this particular thing from pivot here. This would not be possible in a pivot. In a pivot, this won't be possible. So count distinct. So I'm giving you one example. I'm saying that with regular pivot, it will not be possible. But there is an option called power pivot. So if you explore further and if you learn the advanced techniques of pivot, which is known as power pivot, there it will be possible. So there you can actually not make pivots like this. We actually put them in a data model. So that's a separate concept altogether. But there you have an option to get data in a distinct manner. The same thing that you're talking about. So distinct employees, distinct departments, those all things can be possible using Power Pivot, not possible using the regular pivot. So these are the power tools that Excel supports: Power Query, Power Pivot. So it will be possible there itself. Okay, so got it. So any other queries? So let me just go through this particular part. So in today's section, we could demonstrate lookups, reverse lookups, and VLOOKUPs, HLOOKUP, and other things. And we could also demonstrate how to make pivot charts and pivot tables and implement slicers. What we could not take up was the concept of spark lines. So doesn't matter. So next day, tomorrow, when we meet in morning 10 o'clock, the first thing that we will see before going to the analytics part is we will be talking about spark lines. So we'll see how to get some useful effect of spark lines from big data kind of things. So we'll see. Tomorrow's session is also very useful and important. So today we could not cover this spark lines because this VLOOKUP and pivot are the two major topics and it took more time. So anyways, what we will do tomorrow, the moment we start, we will start off with the spark lines. So I will just highlight this. So tomorrow we will start off with this and then we will proceed. Tomorrow's agenda is also very good agenda that we have got. We will start off the day with this spark lines and then we will move on to analytics and then we will see how to instantly using very simple layman's term we can analyze data. So we'll see some analyzing concepts and making of trend lines and all, which is a very important thing when you're talking about Excel. So huge data you might have, and if you just wanted to gather some very useful insight from that data, so how do we analyze it? And then we will see some of the important concepts of what if analysis and quick analysis options that Excel has. So this will be the focus for tomorrow's first session that will be there at 10 o'clock. So I hope to see all of you there in this particular session, which will be module 5. So okay, sure. So if that is fine, then if you don't have any queries, we can actually wind up this session today and we will meet tomorrow. So with that, thank you so much and have a great day. and have a great Saturday and weekend. So thank you so much.